If you were gone yesterday, you can always fill out the Google question today once you see how to do the math and whatnot. So, let's see. What's this, the good black marker? Oh, must have a mixed bag of the two. Okay. I better start the zoom just in case. I don't know graphs. I don't think graphs here today, but maybe he'll try to zoom in later. Well, there we go. If you guys hear it chime, let me know. Okay. So we're going to talk about the basics from what we did yesterday. So that was on it was on mortgages and down payments. I want to do about 2 or 3 examples today, and then Trinity Lucent homework. You have 4 problems. The goal today is to figure out how much money you totally spent on your mortgage and how much money you're saving by making a substantial down payment, like a pretty large down payment on a home. And that's what yesterday I threw one out there. We talked about what a down payment can do for you, but we never calculated how much it saves and how much you're paying total for the home. That's what I want to do today. So I'll give you guys kind of an option here. So let's say that my example is, let's say that the particular problem, let's say we're going to buy a $70,000 home. Okay, we're going to buy a $70,000 home. This is the loan that we're going to be potentially doing here, unless we can get rid of the computer here for right now. So $70,000, we'll do that, and we're going to do a percent of that. So this will be the interest rate, right? Close it, Chromebook. Yeah, thanks. All right. So let's say that the interest rate for my home, let's say on this one is, let's go 5%, kind of something larger. We didn't do any big numbers. I think I did like 3% or something yesterday. All right, so we'll do 5%. We'll go for a normal 30-year loan. 30-year loan, so that's a normal loan. That's what most banks kind of, they figure. They will offer you probably a 25 and a 20. It's only in rare cases will they offer more than 30 years. That's if you're buying a very, very expensive home. So like something around the lakeside and multiple $1 million homes. Then they'll offer you up to a 40-year loan. More years, the worse. So I would definitely not choose to go more than 30. You'll see why. We'll do a calculation here. That's a part of like what we're doing here is just kind of talking about what this does to your loan. Okay, so let's just start. I want to go through 3 problems, and it's basically the same problem 3 different ways. Okay, so here's the idea. So this is the first one. I want to just calculate this: 30-year loan, 5% interest. $70,000, no down payment, right? Nothing down. You're just going to go take out the loan, buy the home, start making your payments next month. Okay? So, how this works, the formula. If you don't remember the formula from yesterday, you were gone. Here it is. This is the compound interest formula that we had from yesterday. It is, A is the amount of total you're paying over the number of years. P is the principal, the loan you're borrowing. That's the P, the principal. In fact, let me label these. So A is the total amount you're spending. Total amount spent on the loan. That does not include the down payment. So keep that in mind. So if you did a down payment, you'd have to add the down payment in. Okay. The P is the principal amount. This is the initial amount that you borrowed. So principal, or the starting amount. So in our case, on this particular person who's ever buying this home, this is a $70,000 home. So that's what they're starting with. The R is the interest rate, and again, that's depicted by whatever the bank does or the federal government picks. The big thing, this has to be written in decimal form. So you have to move the decimal 2 spots, no matter what it is. And then N is the number of times they charge you a fee. It is called the compound charge. I should spell compound correctly. So compound charge. For us, it's 12 times a year. So I'm just going to put 12. It's 12 because they charge you once a month. That's how credit cards work. It's how student loans work. It's how home loans work. They charge you 12 times a year. So that's my N. And then T is the time. And this, the time has to be in years. So be careful of that. That's how many years you're going. So it's not how many months, it's how many years, because sometimes the bank will try to confuse you a bunch by saying huge numbers. It's how many years. Okay, let's plug in my numbers, let's do a calculation. Hopefully you have a calculator with you, okay? So if you have a calculator, it would be a good thing to calculate. So let's plug in my numbers here. So what's the amount that I'm borrowing again? 70,000, so borrowing that, 70,000, okay. Now, my other numbers. So my interest rate is 5%, right? So as a decimal, that's 0.05. Because I had to move that decimal over 2 spots for 5%. It's always 2 spots no matter what that number is. The N on the bottom is 12. It's the number of times they charge you a fee. They charge you a fee once a month for not having paid it off yet. And then the N appears also at 12. It's in the power. And it's also times the number of years. Well, how many years am I taking my loan out for? 30-year loan. Okay. So now we're going to do the numbers. This is where your calculator comes into play. So the first thing you need to calculate, okay, the first thing we have to calculate is take the 0.05 divided by 12. I need to know what that decimal is. All right, so what are we getting when we take 0.05 and we divide by 12?
4.16.
Say it again?
4.16.
No, 0.05 divided by 12 should be a really small number.
0.004.
Say it again?
0.004.
004? Like that? Is there any other numbers?
There's 1 and 6 repeating.
6 repeating, okay. Yeah, let's go about 4 or 5 numbers, okay? Is that the number you're getting? Is your calculator giving you some weird number? Oh, it's giving you scientific notation. Oh, yeah, we gotta clear that. Ooh, yeah. How do we clear that? Clear all 3. Yes. All right, type it in again. Yeah, we don't want scientific notation.
It's giving me a fraction
now. You have a decimal there, right there. The S to D button. It's right above, right there. Hit that button. Boom. All right, good. We fixed it. All right, that's a really nice calculator. It's giving you some crazy stuff. Okay, now in the power, 12 times 30. Well, 12 times 30, what is that? 360? It's a really big number. Okay, and then the 70,000 is still on the outside. All right, so what I'm doing here is just one number at a time. I'm trying not to confuse you. I'm trying not to go too quick here. I'm trying to get you to see kind of where my numbers are coming from so that it's not going too fast. Okay, so now on the inside of the parentheses, I'm going to add those 2 numbers together. You probably don't need a calculator, you just do this. Just put a 1 in front of it. All right, you add the decimal to 1, you just get 1 point, whatever it is. All right. Yeah, if you want to type it in the calculator, you can do that. That's fine. It'll give you the same number. All right, now, this is the part that I'm actually worried about today. It's the next piece we do right here, what we're about to type in. You have to type this number in a parenthesis and then put it to this power. Every calculator does it differently. Like I know, like yesterday with Miss Brown, you had a different calculator. I had to show you your way to type it in. It's different than mine. So everyone's calculator in here will do it differently. Okay, I'm going to type this number in. So again, how I type this in, I type this number, I hit my little caret key, then I type in the 360, and then I hit my number. I'm going to get this number, and I want to see if you can replicate that number on your calculator. Okay, so I'm going to type it in, and I'm going to write down my answer, and let's see if you guys can do yours. If you can't, let me know. So this is 1.00416, all to the 360th power. I'm getting on my calculator 4.457 with a bunch of numbers after it. Is anyone not getting that number? When you typed in that 1.00416 to the 360th power. In fact, I'm going to walk around just to check to see if we're getting those numbers. Close the parenthesis, hit that, type in the power. Boom. Okay, make sure your calculator out. Get rid of the book. See. Boom, got it. Got it, yep. And see see. Oh yeah, good. All right, so we're getting the numbers. All right, so now we're gonna do, because I know that's a crazy number across the screen. I know there's way more digits than what I'm showing you here. I just kind of cut it off where the zero hit. I'm gonna take that number times $70,000. So if I multiply by the 70 grand, okay, I'm going to get a very, very large number. And this is what I'm spending total over 30 years for this home. Times 70 grand. I'm getting $311,000, 995.53 if I rounded it. Is that what you guys are getting? Yeah? Everyone got that? Okay. Anyone need a calculator? Anyone? Okay. All right. We're good? $311,000 for a $70,000 home. I want you to wrap your head around that. It was a $70,000 home, and you spent almost 4.5 times as much money because you made payments over 30 years. Okay? Now, I'm going to do the same calculation now, but all I'm going to change on this problem, is I'm going to change the number of years I'm going. So instead, I'm going to show you what would happen if we did like a 20-year loan instead of picking a 30-year. Now, just to give you an idea, this is the type of number I want to see on Google today when you type it in. I want to see like what you spent total for that home. Now, here's the thing. If you want to know what you made for monthly payments for a home like that, for a $70,000 home over 30 years, what you do is you take this number, you divide by how many years you went, so I divide by 30, and I divide by how many months are in a year, 12. So if you divide this number by that, that'll tell you what your monthly payments are. That's what it is. That's literally how they calculate it. So $311,995.53. I divide by 30 and I divide by 12. My monthly payments for this home is $866 a month for 30 years. $800 a month for 30 years every month. Okay? And you're thinking, whoa, that's really expensive. Yeah, it is. Here's the reason why. You didn't do a down payment. And number two, your interest rate, 5%, is astronomically big. To me, that's astronomically big. I had a 3% down, like 3% interest rate when I did mine. My parents, back in the 70s, and I always talk to them about it, back in the 70s, they built their own home back in the 70s. Their interest rates on mortgages, and this wasn't them, it wasn't their credit, it was just in general, all banks were offering 12% interest loans.
What?
12% interest loans in the 70s. Now, granted, my parents' house wasn't very expensive, right? They built it themselves, they spent like 30 grand doing it, right? But in the 70s, that's a lot of money, 30 grand for a home. 12%, they could have spent like the same amount of money. In fact, they did. They spent more than that buying their home over 30 years, because 10% would be 300 grand. So you need to think about that, and you have to pay it for 30 years. So when I bought my home here in Garner, when I turned, it was back in 2011. So how old would I have been? 2011. I would have been 29 when I bought my home. In 30 years, I'd be 59 when I pay it off finally. I've already paid it off. But the idea is that because I knew that if I waited 30 years to pay off my loan, I'd be paying about that for my home when it was a $90,000 home, right? I don't want to pay that for my home. So I tried to pay it off as soon as I could. I paid more than I needed to. Okay, I've already paid it. Questions? Okay, now let's do the calculation. So if you have your notes, we're gonna do the same numbers. The only thing I'm gonna change is instead of 30, I'm gonna make this 20-year loan. Same numbers, same loans, same home, everything. All I'm doing is changing this to 20 years instead. So there isn't a lot of calculations you need to do here, so watch up here. 70,000, The one, that same number was still on the inside, right? Because I never changed my interest rate and I never changed the multiplier. So it's still that 0.00416 number. That's still on the inside. The only thing that changed was the number on the outside of the parenthesis. That was the only thing that changed. Instead of a 30 times 12 out there, I have 20 times 12. So the power here on this is now 240. That's a very, very big difference. It's a very, very large difference, going 240. So I'm going to take my 1.00416, put it to the 240th power. So 1.00416 all to the 240th power. And now, this number that's coming out on my screen is this. I don't know if you guys are getting roughly the same number. Is that what you guys are getting? You need to put it to that 240th power. And there's a bunch of decimals. So again, it's that number to the 240th. And now if I took it times 70,000. So I took that times 70,000. Here is all the things we've been waiting for. That number times $70,000. Now this is what I'm spending on my home. I went a 20-year loan, I'm not spending as much. If I divided this by 20, divide this by, so I divide that number by 20 because I'm going 20-year loan, right? And then divide by 12. This is what I'm paying per month. Contemplate that just for a second, what I just told you there. Divided by 20, divided by 12. It was less money per month, and it was cheaper. I want you to wrap your head around that for 10 seconds. Do you see why sometimes you should not pick a 30-year loan that the bank tells you? They are not telling you the truth when they say it's cheaper. Oh, it lowers your payments. No. It did not lower my payment. In fact, it made my payment nearly $100 more, and I paid nearly triple what my price was. Actually, more than triple. 4.5 times, I should say. This was about 2.7 times the price, and it was still cheaper per month. Less months doesn't mean that you're going to pay more money sometimes. Maybe in a car loan it would, but on a home loan it doesn't because the formula is different. So think about that for a second. When you take out your home loan, you should do the calculations like I'm showing you here. Maybe it's cheaper taking out a 20-year loan. It's paid off in 20 years. So if I started when I was 29, I'd be done when I'm 49. Okay, and I paid less money. If you can pay it off sooner than that, you even pay less money than that. Because you won't pay as much interest. Interest is charged every month. Okay, do we see the major differences there? Okay, now, last thing to do. Last thing. We're going to go back to the original problem, that problem over there. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this. So we're going back to the 30-year loan. Okay. 30-year loan. So I'm putting that back up there. 30 years again, that number up there. A lot of money. $311,000 home for a 70. Here's the difference. For a 30-year loan, I want to do a down payment on this home before I start. I'm gonna do a down payment instead of, because I don't want to spend all 300 grand. Maybe it'll save me money in the long run if I do a pretty big down payment. I'm not gonna pay all of it because no one has that type of cash on them. How much money do you guys want to put down on a home like that? What do you think? Normal down payments are 20%, 15%, 10%. I've seen 5%. I mean, you guys can pick whatever you want. How much down payment do you want to put?
20%.
20%? Okay, let's do 20% on a home like that. Okay, so we're doing a 20% down. Now, today I will just tell you the number that I want you to put down. I don't tell you percentages. So 20% on 70 grand, by the way. 0.2, that's 20% times 70,000. 14 grand? Yeah, so 20% down payment. So on the Google question, I'll just say that, hey, I want you to put a $14,000 down payment. So we're putting 14,000 down. Okay. All right, so here's how the numbers differ. Okay, so watch how this works. All right, the new markers don't come off the board too well. Come on. Okay, so here's the difference. I need to subtract the 14,000 off of the 70 right away. Like first, subtract it. So what's 70,000 minus the 14? 56,000. Okay, so we're doing a $56,000 loan because you made your down payment. I'm still going to have the same numbers over there, right? It's still the 1.00416. It's still to the 360th power because we were doing a 30-year loan. The interest rate was 5%. We're getting charged 12 times, so it's still the same numbers over there. This still works out to be It still works out to be the 4.457 number. Blah 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 blah. But now we're going to take it times 56,000. Right? You did a down payment on that home before you started. So 1.00416 all to the 360th power. Take that number times 56,000. $249,596.42.
Instead of 96.42. Maybe I did something wrong.
Maybe you just had to put less decimals in there. I used a lot of decimal places.
Oh yeah, I just went 4.457.
Yeah, you're fine. You're in the ballpark. So if you're in your brain here, you go, so ooh, I got a different number than you. Yeah, because he just went a few decimal places. There was like 20 decimals there that I used. Sorry. So yeah, my number is slightly off. It's only off by a few bucks, probably from yours, so it's fine. All right. How much money did I just save by doing that down payment? Look at this. You agree. It was $14,000 down payment. It was 14 grand, right? That's a lot of money, but how much money did I just save by not doing a down payment? Same home, same loan, same number of years. Yeah, look at that. 311,995.53. I'm subtracting the 249,596.42. I just saved, yeah, you're absolutely right. I just saved $62,399 over 30 years by making a down payment. A $14,000 down payment just saved me 60 grand in the long run. That's a super big investment into your home. Now, what would have saved you more money? Down payment, less years. Saved you more money. Because I showed you that earlier, right? I went a 20-year loan. Same loan, 20 years. It was less payment, and it was less money. So can you imagine putting a down payment, going less years and everything? It would have saved me even more money compared to the full thing. That's what I want you to calculate today. I want you to do your problem where you don't put the down payment. You don't put a down payment. You calculate how much did you get. Then do it when you do the down payment. Same exact math. And I want to see how much you save. Okay, does that make sense? So you have to calculate it once without the down payment in. You have to calculate it again with the down payment put in. And I want to see what my savings was. How much money did my down payment save me in the long run? So every problem you're going to have to do kind of twice. Now the good news, all you have to report to me on Google, because you have to type it in Google, right? I want to see what the original price was for the home. I want to see what the price was for when you did the down payment. And then I want you to tell me what the savings was between them. Does that make sense? You have to give me three numbers. Three numbers. The price after you did the down payment, and the savings you made between them. Now technically I'm saving a little bit less than 62 because you still have to, like when I did a down payment, you still have to add that into the total price of the home. But this is just the savings over the years that I'm finding.
Colt Steenhardt and Max Tusha, please come to the office. Colt Steenhardt and Max Tusha.
Okay, so there you go. I'm gonna leave that on the board so you know how to do your problems. You have 4 problems. They're due next Tuesday because I know this takes a while. You have to do every problem basically twice.